a double review of the first 2 volumes of the Last Man series, The Stranger and Royal Cup. These are recent releases to the States. They were originally released in France and have been translated or making their way over here. So I believe the 3rd volume has recently been released as well. But if you are in France or speak French, you can get a bit further in the series than we can here in the States because there's a lot more published. The links to both of these will be in the info below as well as full description, so if you are curious, you can check out more about them there. But basically they are about these 2 characters, Adrian and Richard, who are fighters in a very interesting tournament that uses magic, much to Richard's chagrin because he doesn't use magic, and he kind of goes about things differently, and it's a bit of a culture clash story and a bit of a fantasy meets coming of age meets underdog story. It's got a lot going on, so I think that's all you really need to know. But if you want to know more, as I said, the synopsis is below, and I'm going to get into my thoughts. So as I mentioned, it does have a lot going on, and that can sometimes lead to a little bit of confusion. There are a lot of secrets in the story, and you get the sense that pretty much everyone has secrets, but especially Richard. No one really quite seems to know what those secrets are, including the reader, though you have some suspicions, but you don't really know how he fits into this whole thing, especially in the first book. You do start to get a little bit more in the second book, and some big twists at the end of the second book that give you more and pique your interest for where it's going and for uncovering those secrets. But the fact that there are those secrets and that there is that weird culture clash and all of those elements going can lead to a little bit of confusion, so that might frustrate some people, but it's not a lot, it's not overwhelming, and the story really at its heart is an underdog and an outsider story of them coming together and trying to prove everyone wrong or prove something to themselves, and I think that that outweighs any confusion. You know, it's okay that there are questions that aren't answered yet. You kind of get the feeling that eventually they'll be answered, but you don't need the information yet. You really just need to get to know these characters in this world, in this battle, and root for them. That's really your whole purpose, is just rooting for them to come out ahead. The confusion also can be a little bit in the world, in that you're really plunged right in, much the same way Richard as an outsider is, and you're kind of figuring out the rules as you go. And some people just don't like that. I personally do. But if you like some more clarity to your world building, or you like some more info right off the bat, and it frustrates you not knowing, then it may bother you in this. But again, I think it's outweighed by other elements of the story. I liked the characters. As I said, it is an outsider and an underdog story, and that's pretty much always guaranteed to win people over. But beyond that, I think all of the characters are really expressive, and you really get a sense of who they are. Not just the few main characters, but really everyone that kind of steps on the page feels complete and feels like they have a part to play in all of this, and I appreciate that a lot. There's a lot of personality crammed into the pages and into the story itself, so on that score I think it really, really worked. The art is very crisp and clear. Line drawings, very open, not a lot of shading, and it's very expressive, which is always really good in a graphic novel and something that's needed in a character-based story like this. Part of me wishes that it would be in color, because I think the world itself could be really beautiful and interesting, and I would like to see it sort of fully formed and colorized. At the same time, I think the decision not to just be in black and white does work for it, and it doesn't ever feel chaotic or muddy the way some black and white illustration can. Everything feels intentional and not overworked, I guess, and it just sort of fits. It suits the style. The whole thing has a lot of heart and a lot of unexpected intrigue, and as I said, all of those really big, bold characters that even though when I first started it I was a little dubious of how much I was going to enjoy it, I ended up really liking it, and I'm definitely curious to see where it's going, especially, as I said, with it having a twist at the end and some secrets kind of being picked apart. For the most part, I would definitely recommend it, and I'm curious to see more of the translation as it comes about. It does have some adult themes, I guess you'd say, so even though it does have a young character, it may not necessarily be suited for all young people. probably just if you're a parent or a teacher, use your discretion. I don't think it's awful, but it might raise some questions. But definitely one for teens and adults, and I am looking forward to seeing where it's going. So those are my thoughts on the series. As I said, you can find out more about them below, as well as links so you can add them to your Goodreads shelf or pick up a copy for yourself. If you have read more of them, either in the original French or you've already gotten your hands on book 3 or 4, definitely let me know your thoughts in the comments and if you think I should continue with them. If you want to see more of my thoughts on some recent graphic novels I've read, make sure you stay tuned all this week. But that's all for today. Thanks for watching, and of course, happy reading!